Freedom is the greatest lie ever sold to modern society. You think you're free? So did 50 million people until they realized that their lives were not their own. Today, we uncover how freedom has cleverly been rebranded to hide one of the darkest global crises, modern slavery. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm Miss Wangui Muithathi, your personal finance and investment coach. In today's video, I'll be talking about the brutal reality behind the name freedom that we are told we have, and how global systems, corporate greed, and even our shopping habits fuel modern slavery. There's many faces of modern slavery. It's not just about chains and captivity. It's things like child marriages, human trafficking, and debt bondage. One's passed from parent to child. And many of them are building our homes, they are harvesting our food, among other things. But it gets worse. And this is because many of us are unknowingly part of the problem. They told her she was free, that she could walk down the streets, that she could breathe the open air and smile at strangers. But behind her smile lived scars no one could see. 30 years of slavery, physical abuse, starvation, and silence. Her name was Guadalupe Perez Castillo. And for 3 decades in Mexico, she wasn't a person. She was property. And the worst part of it all, her story isn't rare. Let's talk about the comforting slogans of freedom and choice. And this is because modern society loves to shout, "You are free." But are you? Nearly 50 million people around the world know a very different truth. And the truth is that freedom has become an illusion. A beautifully packaged lie that lets slavery thrive in silence. Let's peel back that illusion. Let's touch a little bit on the chains that you can see. Modern slavery is not a relic of the past. It's alive in factories, fields, kitchens, and behind locked doors. As I mentioned, 27.6 million people are in forced labor. Some digging for our gold, others sewing our clothes, or simply cleaning homes they'll never own. Children, yes, 1 in every 4 victims are trafficked, married off, or trained to fight in wars they never started. Something like debt bondage, that's the oldest trick in the book. It traps the entire family and forces them into generational servitude for loans that were never meant to be repaid. Slavery wears many faces. It whispers, "Just one more day of work," or "Your papers will come soon." But what it really says is, "You are mine." Remember the Rana Plaza collapse in 2013? Over 1,100 people died making clothes for brands that we still wear today. Why? Because in our pursuit of cheap and fast fashion, we ignore the cost paid in blood. We don't see the tired woman in Bangladesh sewing until her fingers bleed. We don't hear the child mining cobalt for our smartphones in Congo. And we rarely ask, who really made this? Most of the time, we just have this don't care attitude, which is totally wrong. And this is because we are taught not to look, okay? We are taught not to feel. We are taught just to consume, always wanting or needing more. And that's why there's a huge problem in consumerism. People are just consuming stuff. That's the illusion. We think that we are choosing, but in truth, we are often choosing not to know. You see, modern slavery isn't just about shackles and whips. It's about systems and individuals that quietly feed on vulnerability. These are the invisible systems and individuals. This is because one can't work without the other. The system can't work without an individual to take action, and vice versa. For instance, women in Nepal, they're promised jobs, but at the end of the day, they're trafficked into Indian brothels. Granite miners in India, they are crushed under loans because they'll never be able to pay it off. And this painful topic about child brides, legally married in countries where consent isn't even understood. Then, with all that comes the psychological chains. We see influencers all over the place telling us what we need to buy, corporations telling us who we should be, and society tells us what success looks like. Philosopher Yannason Goldson said, "Freedom isn't doing what you want, it's doing what's right." A lot of people mistake the two. But at the end of the day, how many of us are truly free when our every desire is shaped by ads, trends, and fears of being left behind? Then this simply means there's disaster, the perfect storm for modern slavery. This is when crisis becomes a cage. For instance, when COVID hit, millions of people lost their jobs overnight. The poor became more desperate, the vulnerable invisible. And not to forget climate disasters, political instability, or something like famine. And suddenly, more hands become available for exploitation. People don't walk into slavery, they simply fall into it because there's no one to catch them. But in every story, in everything, there's always a turning point. So here is a turning point in this story, and maybe yours too. This is where we break the illusion. Change is possible across the globe, okay? Survivor-led organizations, for instance, Free the Slaves and Hope for Justice, are helping victims reclaim their lives. Some laws are forcing companies to reveal who is really making their products. Okay? For example, the UK Modern Slavery Act. And on a personal level, we as conscious consumers, me and you, can change the demand. Start by asking, who made what I wear? If you're enjoying that bar of chocolate, ask yourself, was this chocolate harvested with child labor? Or can I buy fair trade or local instead? Freedom isn't a gift, it's a collective responsibility. Remember, freedom is not the absence of chains, but the presence of justice. Modern slavery thrives when we stop paying attention, but awareness is action, and action is freedom. Well, if you watched this far, thank you, because it means you care enough to look behind the illusion. But don't stop here. Share this video, talk about it, and choose better. Vote with your money, with your voice, and of course, your awareness. I insist on this because someone's freedom might be dependent on the decision that you make today. I am Miss Wangui Muithathi, your personal finance and investment coach, and I'll see you in the next video.